At a glittering Los Angeles wedding, Emma Carter, radiant in her flawless white gown, stands poised at the altar while whispers ripple through the crowd and cameras capture what seems like perfection. But the illusion shatters when the groom, Daniel Price, never appears, leaving the priest stalling and the guests murmuring in disbelief. Humiliation hangs heavy in the air as Emma's mother urges her to leave, yet instead of breaking down, Emma steadies herself, masking her devastation with a cold, composed smile that conceals the storm raging within, and in that charged silence she whispers to herself, not in defeat but in quiet defiance, "This isn't the end. This is where it begins, a promise of transformation that turns betrayal into the seed of revenge." Emma Carter's story begins far from the glittering halls of wealth and privilege that the Price family calls home. She was raised in a modest, middle-class neighborhood in Los Angeles by her mother, Grace, a hard-working nurse who carried the weight of single parenthood with quiet resilience. Emma grew up watching her mother sacrifice long hours and endless energy to keep their small family afloat. And that sacrifice carved a fire in Emma, an ambition to rise, to prove herself, to take the life her mother deserved and elevate it into something greater. She was the kind of girl who studied late into the night, balancing part-time jobs while navigating the grueling demands of law school, always underestimated by classmates with deeper pockets and family names that opened doors. Those same classmates didn't see her as competition, but Emma thrived on that underestimation, building herself into someone sharper, stronger, hungrier for success than anyone around her. It was during this climb that Daniel Price entered her life, a man who seemed, at first glance, to embody everything Emma wasn't: privilege, charm, and a family name steeped in wealth and influence. He pursued her with an intensity that disarmed her, the extravagant dates, the flattering attention, the promises of shared ambition. His confidence was magnetic, his ambition familiar, and for a time, Emma believed she had found someone who truly saw her worth. Only later did the cracks reveal themselves, small lies tucked behind his smile, moments of arrogance that cut deep, subtle manipulations masked as affection. But by then, she was in too deep, caught between the man she wanted him to be and the powerful family who made it clear that she did not belong. Richard and Linda Price never hid their disdain for Emma, their cold politeness serving as a constant reminder that she was an outsider encroaching on a dynasty that had no room for her kind. Yet Emma was not entirely alone. Grace, her mother, remained her anchor, offering unconditional love and reminding her of her strength even when the world seemed determined to break her. Michael, her younger brother, though rebellious and often reckless at just 18, stood fiercely protective of his sister, quick to anger at anyone who dared belittle her. Their bond was unshakable, and Emma carried them with her into every battle, even as she tried to shield them from the venom of the Price family. For Emma, Daniel wasn't just a man, he was supposed to be the bridge to a future she had fought so hard to deserve. The Prices had promised to open doors for her, to secure her place in one of Los Angeles' most prestigious law firms, a career move that could change everything. But in one humiliating public moment at the altar, all of it collapsed. Now, Emma is left standing at the crossroads of devastation and determination. Grief clings to her like a shadow, the loss of love she thought was real, the sting of public humiliation that played out before cameras and whispers, and the crumbling of career prospects that had been dangled before her as leverage. Yet beneath the weight of loss, something sharper takes root, a quiet, burning resolve. She refuses to be the broken girl abandoned at the altar. She refuses to let the Prices erase her dignity, her future, or her name. If they thought humiliation would silence her, they were wrong. Emma is bruised but unbroken, humiliated but unyielding, and in the quiet fury of her heart, she knows one truth with absolute clarity: this is not her ending, it is the beginning of her war. The morning after the shattered wedding, Emma wakes to a storm greater than she could have imagined. The whispers of guests at the altar had been cruel enough, but now the entire world is in on her humiliation. A video leaks online: Daniel Price, the man she was supposed to marry, caught in Mexico the night before their wedding, drunk and laughing, his arm draped around a woman who isn't her. The footage shows him kissing the stranger with the recklessness of someone who knows he can get away with anything, and within hours, the clip spreads like wildfire across every social platform. Every headline screams betrayal. Every comment section turns Emma's heartbreak into public entertainment. She is no longer just the woman abandoned at the altar, she is the woman the world is watching unravel. Paparazzi swarm her doorstep, eager for a glimpse of her pain. Cameras flash in her face when she dares to step outside, Questions are hurled at her like weapons, and strangers dissect her worth online with cruel detachment. Humiliation becomes suffocating, but Emma refuses to collapse in the ruins of Daniel's betrayal. She knows the Prices expect her silence, her retreat, her quiet erasure from the narrative, but instead, she does something no one anticipates. She faces the crowd with perfect composure. Delivering a single line that slices sharper than a blade, "Daniel Price saved me time, better a broken engagement than a broken life." The clip goes viral, not as pity, but as power. Her words are replayed, memed, applauded. She is no longer just a victim, she becomes a voice of cold resilience in the middle of a scandal. But behind the mask of strength, the truth cuts deeper than anyone realizes. Through whispers, contacts, and a friend within Daniel's social circle, Emma uncovers the cruel reality. The wedding disaster wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. Daniel never intended to marry her, it was all a performance to please his parents, to prove he could play at commitment while never actually binding himself to a woman they deemed unworthy. She learns he orchestrated everything: the late-night Mexico trip, the public no-show, the scandal that would ensure she walked away humiliated and powerless. The betrayal is not just personal, it is strategic, calculated, meant to break her entirely, and yet, instead of shattering, Emma feels something ignite inside her: rage, sharp and electric, too powerful to be smothered. She refuses to let herself be reduced to collateral damage in the Price family's carefully curated empire. She knows the law, knows contracts, knows reputations, and she has connections of her own, forged through years of grit and determination. Emma sees the board clearly now. The Prices think they've won, but all they've done is open the game. She makes a choice in that moment, one that will change everything. She will not retreat into silence or shame. She will fight back, using every ounce of her intelligence, every skill she has honed, and every connection she has built. Her career, her dignity, her very name have been targeted, and if Daniel and his family believe she will simply walk away, they are gravely mistaken. The inciting incident does not destroy Emma Carter, it awakens her. Humiliation has been weaponized against her, but she will transform it into fire. She is the woman plotting her revenge, and this time, she will not be underestimated. Emma doesn't move recklessly. She knows that if she is going to confront the Prices, it cannot be with anger alone, it has to be with precision. She begins by doing what she does best: observing, gathering, piecing together a case as if it were for a client, only this time the target is personal. She starts combing through Daniel's past business dealings, late nights spent hunched over her laptop with law books and financial reports scattered around her desk. She follows money trails, cross-references tax filings, and finds subtle discrepancies, numbers that don't add up, transactions that smell of hidden offshore accounts, and shell companies used as shields for something darker. The deeper she digs, the clearer it becomes. The Price empire isn't just arrogant wealth, it's corruption carefully cloaked in prestige. They thought no one would ever look closely, but Emma has nothing left to lose, and that makes her dangerous. Yet the further she goes, the heavier the weight grows. Grace notices the long nights, the sleepless eyes, the obsession in her daughter's movements. Her mother pleads with her to let go, to build a new life free of the Price's poison. "Revenge will eat you alive," Grace whispers, her voice carrying the ache of someone who knows what relentless bitterness can do. But Emma cannot shake the burning need for justice, or is it vengeance? The question keeps gnawing at her. Is she fighting for her own integrity, to expose the corruption that used and discarded her, or is she merely feeding her fury at Daniel for ripping away her love and dignity? The moral line blurs until she no longer knows where justice ends and vengeance begins. The Prices don't stay passive for long. Richard and Linda, icy and calculating, send their emissaries first, lawyers with polished smiles, delivering offers of financial settlements if Emma will disappear quietly. The implication is clear. Take the money, shut your mouth, and fade from relevance. When she refuses, the tone shifts from polite to threatening, letters that hint at ruined reputations, anonymous calls reminding her of her place. But Emma doesn't bend. The more they push, the more resolved she becomes. She won't be bought, she won't be silenced. What they don't understand is that every threat they send only confirms their guilt, and every sneer only sharpens her resolve. Meanwhile, Michael, restless and angry at watching his sister being dragged through hell, decides he won't just stand by. As reckless as he can be, His loyalty is unshakable. He begins digging in his own way, using his tech-savvy skills to hack into files, slip past firewalls, and find the skeletons the Prices keep buried. His discoveries fuel Emma's case: hidden investments, fraudulent documents, payments routed through accounts that scream of tax evasion. But his involvement also drags the family deeper into danger, and Grace's fear intensifies. She sees both of her children teetering on the edge of something irreversible, and she fears Emma isn't just fighting the Prices, she's being consumed by them. Then comes the discovery that twists the knife deeper than anything else. Emma realizes Daniel hadn't only betrayed her heart, he had betrayed her mind, her craft, her very profession. Her sharp legal skills, the contract she had drafted with painstaking care, had been used as cover for his shady dealings. Without knowing it, she had provided legitimacy to his fraud, her name and expertise shielding his corruption. It wasn't just a relationship he manipulated, it was her career, her reputation, her integrity. He didn't merely abandon her at the altar, he tainted everything she had worked for, everything she had built with sweat and sacrifice. The betrayal moves beyond personal, it becomes existential. This is where the emotional storm peaks. She risks her future career by pushing against the most powerful family in Los Angeles. She risks her safety by prying open doors that were never meant to be touched. And she risks the very bonds that have carried her this far: her mother's faith in her, her brother's safety, all for a cause she isn't even sure she can name anymore. Is it revenge, justice, or desperation? All she knows is that she cannot stop. Not when her dignity has been stolen, not when her integrity has been weaponized against her, not when Daniel and his family still believe they have one. The tension coils tighter, pulling her family and her future into the same dangerous orbit, and Emma must confront a chilling truth. To take down the Prices, she may have to risk destroying herself in the process. The battle comes to its boiling point not in private boardrooms or whispered threats, but under the blinding lights of a packed courtroom. The Price family, once untouchable, now sits at the defense table with a phalanx of expensive attorneys, their empire cracking under the weight of evidence Emma herself unearthed. She had been strategic, leaking crucial documents to regulators and investigative journalists, ensuring the government would circle the Prices like sharks drawn to blood. But she didn't stop there. With precise calculation, she filed her own civil suit, naming Daniel and his family in a case that threatened not only their fortune but their reputation. Emma stands as her own counsel, sharp in a tailored suit, her posture unyielding, a stark contrast to the abandoned bride the world had mocked only weeks before. When Daniel enters, he does so like a king stripped of nothing, arrogant and smirking, his expensive watch glinting as if it alone could buy him freedom. He still believes in the old rules that money can buy silence, influence can buy judges, and power can bend the truth. But Emma has studied him for years. She knows the way he twists words, the confidence he wields like a blade, and she is ready to dismantle it piece by piece. In opening statements, she doesn't shout or dramatize. She speaks with the calm precision of someone who has built her entire life on facts, evidence, and unshakable logic. She lays out the case: fraud, tax evasion, falsified contracts, corporate deception, not wild accusations, but truths, supported by documents the court cannot ignore. The air thickens as the case unfolds. Emma moves methodically, presenting witnesses, tracing money trails, exposing inconsistencies in statements. Her mastery becomes undeniable, and even Daniel's team of high-powered lawyers cannot rattle her composure. The climax comes during cross-examination, where Daniel himself takes the stand. His arrogance is palpable, his smirk a mask for the cracks beginning to show. Emma leads him carefully, step by step, into a web of his own making. Questions seem harmless at first, but they circle tighter and tighter, until he has no room left to maneuver. She reveals emails, signatures, documents, each one stripping another layer of his facade. Then the moment drops like a hammer. She produces a set of contracts Daniel claimed she drafted, papers supposedly legitimizing multimillion-dollar investments, but with a calm, razor-edged tone. Emma points out a detail only she would know: the signatures are forged. His arrogance falters, his face pales. The courtroom holds its breath as Emma delivers the final blow. Daniel didn't just manipulate her emotionally, he forged legal documents in her name to cover his crimes, making her an unwitting accomplice. The betrayal was not simply romantic, it was criminal, calculated, and malicious. Gasps echo through the room. Judges lean forward, jurors exchange shocked glances, and even And even Daniel's lawyers shift uncomfortably. His smirk collapses entirely when federal officers step into the courtroom, armed with warrants triggered by the evidence Emma had already set in motion in front of the public, the press, and his own sneering parents. Daniel Price is arrested mid-trial, handcuffs snapping over wrists that once carried power as casually as cufflinks. The mighty heir is dragged away, his empire crumbling, his name tarnished beyond repair. Emma doesn't smile, she doesn't gloat. Her revenge isn't in spectacle but in reclamation. She watches him being led out, her face calm, her voice steady as she whispers the words only he can hear across the silent courtroom. Now we're even. It isn't triumph in her tone, but closure, her dignity restored, her power reclaimed, her story rewritten from victim to victor. The woman once humiliated at the altar has transformed humiliation into fire, and in the ashes of Daniel's downfall, she stands unbroken. The courtroom bearing witness to the rise of Emma Carter. In the weeks and months following the courtroom battle, the Price empire begins to unravel. Investigations launched from the leaks Emma orchestrated reveal layers of corruption, previously hidden behind the veneer of wealth and influence. News outlets chronicle the downfall of a family once considered untouchable, and Emma's name becomes synonymous not with scandal but with courage and integrity. She is lauded as the woman who dared to challenge power, who used her intellect, skill, and resolve to confront a dynasty built on deception. Her victory is not just legal, it is symbolic, a message that no amount of money or prestige can shield wrongdoing from exposure. Yet Emma does not rest on accolades. She recognizes that the fight against the Prices, though victorious, is only a small part of a larger mission. She declines offers from top-tier law firms that once seemed like the ultimate prize. Instead, she channels her expertise and energy into founding her own legal advocacy group, focused on empowering women and minorities to stand up against powerful institutions that seek to exploit or silence them. She hires lawyers, researchers, and activists who share her vision, and together they take on cases that challenge systemic inequities, giving a voice to those who had been overlooked or intimidated by authority. In her own firm, Emma is not just a lawyer but a leader, mentor, and beacon of empowerment, turning personal triumph into social impact. Family, once caught in the crossfire of her obsession with revenge, begins to heal and grow stronger alongside her. Grace, who had feared her daughter's pursuit of justice would consume her, now watches with pride as Emma transforms loss into purpose. Michael, inspired by his sister's unwavering courage and determination, makes a conscious choice to redirect his rebellious energy toward education. He enrolls in college, determined to carve his own path while carrying forward the lessons of resilience and loyalty he witnessed in Emma's journey. The family bond, tested and strained through months of fear and tension, emerges fortified, each member learning to trust not just in one another but in their own capacity to confront adversity. Through it all, Emma undergoes a profound inner transformation. While her actions had been fueled initially by anger, betrayal, and the desire for revenge, she comes to understand that the true victory was never about Daniel or the Prices. It was about reclaiming herself, her dignity, her identity, and the future she had once allowed to be dictated by others. Her rage becomes tempered with wisdom, her strategic mind balanced by empathy and purpose. She learns that power lies not only in winning battles but in choosing which battles are worth fighting and in lifting others as she rises. In quiet moments, when the accolades fade and the courtroom dramas are behind her, Emma reflects on how far she has come. She remembers the abandoned bride at the altar, the whispered words that once defined a turning point. This isn't the end. This is where it begins. Now, she knows that beginning was not merely about revenge, it was about awakening to her full potential. The woman who was underestimated, humiliated, and betrayed has emerged as a force of justice, resilience, and empowerment. Her story, once shaped by others' deception and disdain, is now entirely her own, a testament to the strength of intellect, determination, and the refusal to be defined by the failures inflicted by those who underestimated her. Emma Carter stands not just victorious over her enemies but fully realized in herself, a woman who has reclaimed her narrative, transformed pain into purpose, and turned the echoes of betrayal into a legacy that inspires others. She is unbroken, unbowed, and unstoppable, the embodiment of resilience and the living proof that the greatest victories are those fought not just for revenge, but for self-respect, justice, and the power to change the world. The apartment is quiet, the city lights outside casting a soft glow across Emma's desk. Late at night, she sits alone, tea steaming gently beside her, eyes scanning a new case file. Another fight, Another opportunity to make a difference. Her wedding dress, once the symbol of betrayal and humiliation, hangs untouched in the corner, a silent witness to the storm of the past months. For a moment, she glances at it, memories flickering, then looks away with a calm resolve. It no longer holds power over her. In a deliberate, almost ceremonial act, she places the dress into a box and donates it to charity. A small note accompanies it. May this dress bring someone joy, not pain. It's not a gesture of revenge or spite, but of liberation, turning what once symbolized hurt into something that might spark hope. It is Emma reclaiming agency over her own story, choosing creation over destruction. As she sits back at her desk, voiceover threads through her thoughts. He broke the engagement. But he didn't break me. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't destroying them, it's rebuilding yourself stronger than they ever imagined. The words hang in the air, quiet but resolute, capturing the essence of her journey, betrayal transformed into empowerment, humiliation into strength. The final shot lingers on Emma rising from her desk, straightening her jacket, and stepping out into the city night. The streets are alive, but she moves through them with serene confidence, free from the chains of the past. Her stride is steady, unhesitant, unstoppable. In that moment, she is not defined by what was taken from her, but by who she has become, a woman who faced the greatest betrayal of her life and emerged whole, formidable, and luminous. The city, vast and unrelenting, mirrors her resolve, and Emma walks into it, fully herself, ready for whatever comes next.